So apparently, when our black stars make it to the main events, win championships, we're not supporting them. We don't love it. At least that's what Brandi Rhodes thinks. Her tweet this past weekend, we're going to talk about it all in just a second, so stay tuned. This is WrstlXtra.
Yo, this is WrstlXtra. I'm your boy, of course, A Dazzle, with my tag team partner, Mex. Yes, and you are watching us live right now on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel, and of course, listening on AffinityExtra.com. It's another one of those. It's another one of those shows where you're kind of like, where do we
You know
start?
what it is? It's literally like, it's where do we start? It's how did we get here?
That is the question, bro. How did we get here? For those watching us right now, whether you're live or watching later on, you can see I'm not in my usual space. A Dazzle stories. Here we go again. Travel just wasn't happening for me, so I am in the comfort of my home, just chilling, talking with Mex with no mic. So if you're listening and it doesn't sound that great, you know why. Anyway, getting past that part of things, my dear friend, Brandi Rhodes, Mrs. Rhodes, tweeted something earlier this week, which she quickly deleted. Unfortunately, she quickly deleted.
She did.
But it raised a few eyebrows and got me back on Twitter.
That's how you know it was a mad thing.
Shanti's jumped straight in as soon as I said that, because she was the one that tweeted that as well. When I jumped on Twitter and had my say, I guess is the best way to put it. To give a bit of context to what happened, I don't think I even got the tweet in front of me. I haven't.
Damn it. To read the tweet?
Yeah, go for it. Actually, yeah, go for it.
So Brandi Rhodes said, "This might start some poo-poo emoji, but let's talk. I see a lot of people complaining on here that there aren't enough black talent featured in wrestling. Yet, when black talent is out here busting it in main events and holding championships, where's the love? Am I just missing it?"
To answer the last question in that tweet, yes.
Yeah.
She's definitely missing something. So as most of you know, those of you that follow me enough, those of you that listen to the show enough, know about who I am enough, know that regularly I will defend Mrs. Rhodes, because I believe in general, and I still believe the same thing, even with what I'm about to say and my comments towards this tweet. Generally, I believe this woman is very much mistreated by everyone, white, black, male, female, whatever it is. In general, I think she's misunderstood, mistreated, held accountable for maybe too much, expected of too much. But at the same time, I have to be very honest and very real and say that every now and again, she will say some things or react to certain things that makes it very hard for me to defend her. This is definitely one of those things. And this isn't me coming at her on a personal level. I very rarely do that with anyone anyway. But at the same time, I think given the context of the last few weeks and what a lot of our talk has been about, just not even just on this show, but even, Jobbeteers have talked about it. The wrestling guys were talking about it. But to be very specific, the lack of black stars or the use of black stars in AEW. So for the chief brand officer to say that and kind of almost blame us or blame the fans as to being the reason why we don't see enough black stars, or there's not a black star pushed to the top of AEW, or whatever it is. I kind of, I said this in one of my tweets, I kind of find it ridiculous, if I'm honest. It really bad timing. I think, she deleted the tweet almost straight away, knowing full well it was going to cause some madness. She knows that, sometimes when she talks, it's just going to cause madness because she said it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my thing is, after a few days of reflection, because if you read my tweets, I just went through it. But after a few days of reflection, I guess the biggest question that we're asking is, me and Mex are also asking, is where did this come from? How what happened, or what has Brandi seen? What has she read? What has she interpreted? What made her do this? Because I also see it as she's in a certain position. Of course, she sits where she sits. She has whatever position she has. She's been in the business the way she has. She's dealt with whatever she has. So for her to say what she said, obviously she's seen something, heard something, or experienced something, whether that be something, whether that be a moment, whether that be over a number of years, for her to tweet this. Mex, I wonder if you can give me any insight as to where it possibly could have come from. Can we make sense of where it come from and what she was actually trying to say?
So, let's just get this right. We've all been saying this kind of stuff for a long time now in regards to the, black wrestlers not getting a fair crack of the whip, a fair opportunity. I can only imagine what has triggered her to the point of writing this tweet, or making it cross her mind, is the Caucasity promo that we saw from Alfred Konuwa. I think that's probably the thing that's gone viral-ish enough to a lot of corners. She's come across it. Obviously, she's called out. He's called out her company, AEW, as the one place that's not really shedding light on black stars. And now this is her rebuttal. Like, well, when we do, you guys aren't supporting the black people in wrestling. And my biggest issue with this entire thing is the fact she said wrestling, that black stars are not supported in wrestling. I mean, you're leading this conversation. I won't jump the gun, but I think for me, that was the bit. I was like, what are you on about? Like, wrestling for me isn't the issue. It's one place in the wrestling scheme of things, and it's AEW, where we're always talking about, the lack of color at the top, or being pushed, or whatever the case is. So yeah, I think that's what's rattled her. I don't think she should have. I think she's right to put out the tweet and ask the question. She's an EVP or whatever. After all, she's up there, brand officer. She has the right to ask the question and hear what the people have to say, and use that as feedback, or whatever the case is, to maybe fix the issue. I just think running from it, deleting the tweet, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good either. Like, stand by what you're tweeting. I'm sure within your company you probably have some type of media trainers, PR people that she's probably got free reign of her account, but still, like, there's ways to manage things, even if you do put out something you shouldn't have. So I just feel like, ask the question, because you're entitled to ask the question, but then don't take offense to any answer. Hear people out, hear what the fans on the ground are thinking. And just in terms of what we're all thinking, that this isn't you've missed something. Like we said at the top of here, you've definitely missed something if you think that's what that's how we react to these guys.
Let's look at something that we've done 3, 4, maybe even 5 weeks in a row, is look at what's actually happening with the black stars in AEW, and go from the history, because every time we mention anything like this, anyone mentions it, you get Mark. I'll just call the white wrestling fan Mark, for now, who will jump in and do the whole, well, Nyla Rose is champion, And well, Scorpio Sky was the first black tag team champion. Dante Martin had a match with Kenny Omega the other day, and Red Velvet had a match the other day, main event. So my first tweet was from reacting to this tweet from Brandi was, so you expect us to be happy with crumbs, and we should be fine because so and so was a champion 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And two people that you're not pushing, you threw into main events in the same week. Just 2 weeks ago. We're supposed to be happy. We're supposed to be fine. We're supposed to then not be able to voice an opinion or voice any kind of disgruntlement, if that's even a word, and be upset, because two people were in relatively meaningless main events. Meaningless in the sense where it was great that they got to show themselves, and they did. When I'm talking about Dante Martin and Red Velvet very specifically, they got to show themselves. You know what I mean? And that was amazing. But then Red Velvet is now not in the title picture. She's with Jamie Hayter. That's not a problem necessarily. I don't think it's a problem. That's cool. And Dante Martin straight back on Dark the following week. He's not going to be challenging Kenny Omega for no championship. Even if he was, we all know what the outcome of the match is going to be. He's not being pushed towards any TNT or anything in any kind of realistically competitive way. So, and then everyone, the other thing that rattles my brain every time this guy's mentioned. People always try and mention Will Hobbs in this whole argument of black wrestlers who are not being pushed. Oh, but Will Hobbs is what?
But what?
Who? Doing what?
Yeah.
Exactly. What? A match with 2 matches with John Moxley and then disappearing and then having another meaningless match, as good as it properly was, with Christian Cage or returning Christian Cage. For what? To push Christian Cage. Right? So again, this whole argument of Black Stars, AEW, comes to the fore, and I'm just like, I don't understand how anyone could possibly defend it in any way, shape, or form. For me, the only thing that is happening right now that has any level of substance for me, that kept me excited in any type of way, is what's happening with Big Swole. And even that, you can look at that. You can look at that. I don't, but you can look at that and think, well, she was in a major story with Britt Baker. Nothing happened after that. Yes, of course, her illness came into play. That was the unfortunate part. And again, that probably might be a reason why there's a resistance to push her again in the same way and hold out a little bit. Fair enough. But there's no one. So the question always, the other thing that comes up all the time is then, oh, but are there any black stars that are actually ready?
Bro.
Okay. I mentioned Darby Allin. I mentioned Orange Cassidy. I mentioned MJF, and I'll finally mention Jungle Boy. And I mentioned Jungle Boy finally because when we talk about Darby Allin, there's something about him that, okay, you want to push him. There's some mystique about him. Blah blah. You mix him with Sting, is almost perfect. It works. It does work. I'm not the biggest fan, but it works. Orange Cassidy, absolutely just an absolute enigma. Like, I'd push Orange Cassidy myself. That's not a problem for me. MJF, definitely a future star. Absolutely amazing on the mic. In-ring skills, not better than anybody at all. At all, in the slightest, any way, shape, or form. No match has he had that made me think, oh my God, that was amazing.
Oh, wowed you. Yeah.
Not at all. Jungle Boy. Now let me talk about Jungle Boy for a second. Great look. Son of you know,
Perry.
a guy that was, you know, great, you know, a film star, well known, blah blah. Jack Perry. That little story on its own is enough to push that young man. He can go. He can go. There's no question of that. There's no question of that. He's a future star. No question of it. Tell me a time where this young boy has caught a promo and a decent one at that. Because the biggest thing that I hear all the time when it comes to so and so not being ready, whether it's black or white, Asian in between, whatever it is, oh, but what is their character, or can they cut a promo? Dante Martin, yeah, I don't think he'd cut a promo. I've not heard him cut a promo. He can go.
Bro, the argument is air because the same people will say Kenny Omega can't cut a promo and he's the world champion. So now what?
Kenny Omega cannot cut. Kenny Omega, all my days. I'm not even going to go there because that can turn into a whole different thing altogether.
People say that. So this is why he doesn't really stand up.
Right, exactly. And we can go all the way back as well to when AEW was signing people as well, when, you know, the likes of Swerve was still available. Carmelo Hayes, who used to be called Christian Casanova, was available. So many others, Darius Lockhart. I can go down the list and, you know, come with so many guys that could have been signed and I was expecting to be signed or had hopes of them being signed, and yet none of them. Scorpio Sky was our only hope. Okay, the tag team championship, great, brilliant. He had a match with Jericho, great, brilliant. Most wins in AEW for however long, great, brilliant. Won that Sonic championship ring. On top of the ladder, came to nothing. What is he doing now? Beating up people alongside Ethan Page. And let's be very real, it looks like Scorpio Sky is Ethan Page's sidekick.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop talking, bro, because I'm done.
I mean, people have been sounding off in the comments. Thanks for everyone that's joining us live. Please remember as well to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me pick up. We'll start with Shantice from the top.
Let's go.
Honestly, she calls it on herself. We all loved her at one point. So yeah, this is talking about, you know, maybe a mistake speaking out of place. Naomi Total Knockout, thanks for joining. She says she has the power as someone that has the pull in the back to change the fact that black wrestlers in AEW haven't been pushed into singles title spots. I think that's one thing we're definitely going to talk about. Shantice also makes reference to she's talking about Scorpio Sky's Sonic Ring, because that's one of the only times we've kind of seen someone pushed into a prominent position, although it didn't really, you know, land
amount to anything. Yeah, of course.
Mr. Mike 307, thanks for joining us, bro. He says they only have about 4 black wrestlers they can name. I mean, let's be honest. In terms of ones that are getting onto TV, there is probably, you know, Jade Cargill, Red Velvet, Scorpio Sky, Will Hobbs, Dante Martin pop up every now and again.
Ricky Starks, of course.
Ricky Starks, yeah. So, you know, it's not many. We shouldn't be able to count it on our fingers, that's for sure.
No.
Scorpio Sky, Mr. Mike says Scorpio Sky is the best talent they have and should be on the same level as Miro and Darby Allin.
For sure.
Definitely.
For sure.
There's one particular comment here. Naomi also made reference in the comments I saw earlier about Thunder Rosa. That's another, obviously, someone from, you know, minority background being on Dark. And yeah, Thunder Rosa definitely shouldn't be anywhere near that show. I'm looking for a particular comment that I saw from Naomi earlier when you were talking. But yeah, ultimately, you know, this is someone that is holding a position in the company that can influence these kind of things. Like you said, they are the machine that has pushed Miro, that has pushed Darby Allin, that has pushed Jungle Boy. So they could have picked any black talent and given them the same. The comment that Naomi, I'm trying to find for Naomi, I can't find it, but the comment basically was talking about the fact, and we've mentioned this before, you guys made noise about the representation thing. You guys made noise about, you know, everyone's equal here. Everyone from no matter what background, sexuality, this, that, and the other, everyone's going to get a chance. So you've made a whole heap of noise and you're not delivering. And now you can't be mad that we're pulling you up on it.
Right.
Because you said it. Same way, you know, where we all kind of went mad, WWE, Triple H, Vince, Stephanie, Shane all came out to the ring. We're putting the power back in your hands. Do you remember that promo?
I remember that, bro.
You guys are gonna book the show from now on, or whatever the case is. Okay. Okay, and we called them out about it. So this is it. You stuck your neck out on this one, and you're not delivering. And yeah, there is a handful of guys and girls that are, you know, that are black, and you know, there's definitely at least one that should have. And to be honest, right now, I agree that no one is there yet. But this is because AEW has evolved and is growing so rapidly. Right. Scorpio Sky, for instance, there's no chance. Scorpio Sky has no chance right now against Miro. Are you seeing what Miro is doing on TV? He wouldn't stand a chance. However, yes, you know, I'm not taking away the fact he was tag team champion. But when Scorpio Sky should have had his singles push, when you guys said he was having his singles push, you know, you built him up on Dark, you brought him over to Dynamite, he lost to Cody. There was not even a story to follow. The championship is irrelevant, but there's no story to follow. The Sonic Ring thing, you know, he all of a sudden out of nowhere popped up on Dynamite the week before, new attitude, went into the pay-per-view, won the thing, lost to Darby. Like, and again, just no story to follow. You have the power to do something here with these guys. Not even sending them through this forbidden door to Impact. Let them set Impact alight. Like, let them, I'm saying, man. You lot clearly don't care about this relationship with Impact. Let them go set Impact on fire and then come back to AEW. Maybe there'll be more over. That's not even happening. Like, yeah, we always back our stars. Like, for instance, Red Velvet in the main event, she was put in a hard spot. They sent her into the Lions Den as the babyface in Pittsburgh, where Britt Baker is from. Like
in Britsburg.
What kind of reaction did you want from the, like, if you listen for an audible reaction, that would have been the wrong day to listen for one, because it was never going to happen.
For sure.
So we are supporting these guys, and at the same time, if you think we're not supporting these guys and girls, maybe they haven't been put in a position for us to support them.
There's nothing to support, bro.
There's nothing to support.
There's nothing to support.
This is exactly it. Like, in terms of maybe a future world champion out of the current roster, you could only point at Will Hobbs maybe one day. Ricky Starks is definitely a good shout. But the road to get there, you know, Ricky Starks is right now is, you know, playing around with a title that doesn't even mean nothing on your show. So again, like, you know, I don't want to be here taking apart AEW. This is a fantastic wrestling product, but we can't be here trying to, you know, assassinate the fans on a fact of supporting something that doesn't currently exist. Like, and
to kind of go back to Naomi's comment, the first one that she made, talking about Brandi having the power as someone that has pulled back in the change, the fact that black wrestlers in AEW haven't been pushed into singles title spots. Now, in my attempt to be balanced, in my attempt to also defend Brandi in whatever way within this whole discussion, is that, you know, very early stages, very early on, I had a nice strong conversation with Brandi Rhodes just before AEW kind of came to fruition and they started signing people. When they started the signing, we saw that Nyla Rose and Sonny Kiss were two of the first to be signed. You know, it highlighted this whole diversity thing. Of course, Scorpio Sky being openly homosexual. You had Nyla Rose, who's transgender. And with both of those signings, Brandi Rhodes is actually very pivotal in making those two happen. Sonny Kiss, she told me Sonny Kiss was spotted on my page. So it was like she was on this thing where she was looking for talent. And she even told me, and I think she even tweeted it at one point as well, you know, anyone that's out there, let me know. I had wrestlers messaging me saying, "Oh, can you put in a word into Brandi Rhodes for me?" What? And it was happening. Big Swole signing and I believe Red Velvet signing were both you know, some level of influence from Brandi as well. So she tried something. But here's the problem. The problem comes now where that's only goes so far. She can only do so much. She has no power when it comes to what happens in the ring. She has no power. After those signings happen, I don't know what kind of fight she had to put in just to get those signings to happen. But from then on, it doesn't matter what she says, what she does. And I don't know whether that is how it should be or just how it is with her. I don't know whether, you know, because she's has no real in-ring experience or, you know, real history of like that. Her position in the company isn't that of an in-ring influencer either. And also, unfortunately, I'm hoping this isn't the case, but it could very well be, she's a black female. Let's be very real about it. She's a black female.
It's hard for her too.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what I'm saying. This is also hard for her too. So she can push them so far. She can maybe, you know, influence a couple and get a few signings. Possibly some of the people that have been on Dark and, you know, those, you know, the couple of appearances, the people that lose every week. And, you know, and I know it's not just black talent. She obviously has friends that are not just black. Some of the other talent as well has been because of, you know, she's probably mentioned something or given them a chance or whatever, but there's only so far it goes.
Yeah.
So this is why it intrigues me even more as to ask to find out where this tweet came from, what was in her mind, what was going on in her head, what has she seen, what has she experienced. To say this whole thing as well about, you know, champions not being supported, and I don't understand that one at all, because there was Kofi Mania. We have Bobby Lashley as a champion. I'm sure, you know, I know she now has a child to look after and stuff, but I'm sure she saw the reaction to Bianca Belair losing her title the other day. The support that Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair had while they were champions. You know, the level of support that we see when we see, you know, someone like Trish Adora, for example, her championship becoming a recognized championship by PWI. There's all these things Bobby Lashley doing, what Bobby Lashley's doing right now. I've not heard nobody say a single negative thing about Bobby Lashley in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
If they have, it's one person out of a million. I don't get this misinterpretation of our support. What is it? Are you looking at merch sales possibly? Because I mean, I'm sure we've got. I know we don't really buy stuff.
Yeah.
Is it that? Is that the type of support she's talking about? Which would make sense. But all in all, I just don't get where it comes from, what it means, how it happens, because, you know, you've got pages like my own, pages like We Love Wrestling, you know, who goes out there in every level of capacity. I don't know where he gets the energy, the money, the time, anything. I don't know how Terry is doing anything that he does, because he is an absolute workhorse. You know, you've got guys like yourself, you've got the Wrestlings guys. You know, we can pull on the conversation that you had with, you know, Roy Johnson and the Wrestlings guys, more so talking about obviously UK wrestling, but again, another place we could have another show about that alone. Literally. You know what I mean? It's a madness, but we are trying so hard to do what we're doing, but yet it's at the end of the day. I said this in one of my tweets. At the end of the day, you decide who you push. You decide who you push. We saw what happened the other day at SummerSlam as well, when Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg. And I know it's maybe a little bit more of the hate for Goldberg, or Oldberg, as people are calling him. But the reaction to Bobby Lashley winning and then, you know, putting the hurt lock on Goldberg's son, the type of numbers in terms of merch and fandom when it comes to the New Day, the Hurt Business, Naomi, again, Bianca and Sasha, like, it doesn't matter that whether they're black or not. Support is support. They're going to get it because they're stars, because they've been pushed, because they're, the company believes in them enough to push them.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from. It's not simply, okay, let's look at this person. Right. Do they have a fan? Do they have a following? Yes. Okay. So we'll push them. It comes from the company first of all. I don't care what anyone says, however you want to put it. It comes from the company first of all. You highlight the good things about them and don't really focus on the bad things, because again, we've mentioned Jungle Boy can't cut a promo. Does Jungle Boy cut promos? No, he doesn't, because they know he can't. So there's no point in them trying. But yet Jungle Boy is pushed as this future star, which isn't incorrect. It's not incorrect at all. But there's no reason why that can't be done with other black stars.
That's ultimately it. Like, they decide this, they write the stories, they write the books. So yeah, it's very much in their control. For her to kind of point the finger at us is a bit mad. Mr. Mike says here that I didn't even think about that. She probably was talking about merchandise. She's the chief brand officer. I mean, even the merchandise thing, and without trying to sound petty or whatever to win an argument, merch goes all the way down to even like design stuff.
Very, very true, bro. That's not even a joke.
If you like, you might like her, you might love. There's wrestlers I absolutely love, and I go look at their merch, and I'm thinking, I'm not gonna wear that because it looks trash. So bro, I'm not buying the merch. Like,
I literally did that the other week, bro. I sat down for about an hour, both WWE and AEW, bro, and I'm like, God, I love this wrestler. Right, let me try and find a shirt. Nah, but yeah, I look at like an Adam Cole maybe, or Kenny Omega, CM Punk, and the designs are on point. I'm like, yo, I want that shirt. But then it's CM Punk. I'm like,
and then you start asking yourself, like, what's my affinity to this guy, sort of thing.
Right.
Now, how are you going to build an affinity to someone that's not on TV? Someone that you don't see, or someone that when they go out there, they lose. Like, I can't build anything to then go and buy merch. You see what I mean? Like, I'm not, there's nothing there yet. Even though I want to like this guy, there's nothing there yet. And then maybe when there is something there, the design is poor. Like you said, I'm not shunning away from it. Black people don't like spending money.
Yes.
Black people don't. So yeah, that's another factor. But we have to, those that are spending money, they are supporting. Like I've seen, black guys in Hurt Business shirts just because of what it represents, and black groups.
Exactly.
And stuff like that.
Exactly.
People are buying this stuff. You just have to give us a reason to. So again, like, it's for me, and yeah, like I was getting back to when I started. Wrestling, saying that this is wrestling and not AEW, for me is very, very, that's cheeky. That's very cheeky, because like we said, WWE, there is so many examples in the last year, 2 years alone. There's been so many examples of black people doing well, being supported. You mentioned some names already. In MLW is littered with black faces, littered with it, sort of thing. Ring of Honor as well, Impact as well. Like, we're seeing these guys, black faces are even more and more getting opportunities in Japan now. Like, it's only one place, and it happens to be the second biggest promotion in the USA, what we're not seeing as many black people come through, be given prominent positions. For you to write wrestling, and within your role, you know what you did. You could have written AEW. You didn't want to get
of course get in trouble.
your people under the limelight.
Don't want to deal with the domestics at home.
This is it. Like, the issue isn't with wrestling. I think in terms of what we're talking about, wrestling has been very progressive in the last few years, towards black people getting a chance and being top challengers and title holders and stuff like that. The problem is at home. You need to sort the problem at home in AEW before you come out and make generic statements like it's wrestling's issue right now. You're not supporting black faces in wrestling. That's incorrect. That alone makes the entire statement void. Like, for me, own up, hold your hands up. You guys have been saying this, that, and the other about AEW and lack of representation in AEW. How can we fix it? Tell me your grievances. She could have held like an online stream or something like that, a focus group or something. a focus group with the right people, because we know what happened
Right,
last
of
time we tried
course.
to hold a focus group.
Focus group.
So yeah, they could have done anything like that if she really wanted to garner people talking about this from an intellectual point of view, not just angry people, and actually want to make have a fix for this. But she done what has come to be the Brandi thing to do, and put out a statement which she quickly retracted, and has ultimately solved nothing.
Yeah, of course. And that's the thing, man. There's a very simple solution to this. It's not, and I believe if she did the thing that you suggested in terms of having, some kind of focus group, someone, a chance for people to air their grievances, all that kind of thing, I'd expect that to be on her own merit, on her own terms. It wouldn't be necessarily supported by AEW or whatever else, but even for her to do that alone would gain a massive level of respect.
Bro, she has AEW heels. She could have just done it inside of there.
That's very true, actually. That is very true. So it's not impossible. You have your opinion, that's fine. But also listen to what we're saying. And if you did that and then, then had to then try to make it happen, or then try to have some level of influence, still the respect is there. If it didn't happen, but we know you tried, cool, no problem. But yeah, it's just somewhere else. And I hope that we do find some level of answer or understanding as to where it came from, what it was, and all the rest of it.
Let me just take these last two comments.
Yeah. Go for it.
And before we wrap up this conversation, Naomi Total Knockout says AEW used that diverse alternative to WWE stuff for us just to be waiting almost 3 years for a black AEW or TNT champion. And Mr. Mike says here that in the last 2 years, AEW is completely lost, I guess, in terms of promotions, in terms of pushing black talent.
For sure, and that's where it is. That's the reality. Both comments, the absolute reality. To move things on to our next conversation, we want to look at women joining factions. We've seen, in the last couple of days, in the last week actually. So earlier, I think it was yesterday actually, Shane Taylor of Shane Taylor Promotions, the leader of Shane Taylor Promotions, of course, if you work it out, his name Shane Taylor. Anyway, Shane Taylor Promotions, 3 of them are currently the 6-man tag team champions in Ring of Honor, and of course, they're all black faction, Shane Taylor Promotions. Now, we also saw Trish Adora advance to the semi-final of the Women's Championship tournament. And in reaction to that, Shane Taylor tweeted, something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing, it would be interesting to add Trish Adora to Shane Taylor Promotions. We've also seen, of course, BFAB, part of Hit Row on NXT. Hit Row and Legado del Fantasma have been a feud, and during their big clash, their 6-man not championship, but 6-man tag team match, Elektra Lopez then joins the faction of Legado del Fantasma. We now see another woman in a faction of men. And of course, for however long, it's probably been a year now that we've been begging for Naomi to join a faction. First of all, of course, it was the Hurt Business. The Hurt Business is no more. Naomi's now on SmackDown with her husband, Jimmy Uso, and we now are begging the WWE to add Naomi to the Brotherhood, the Bloodline even. The Bloodline. Now, it's interesting to me. I find every single one of those combinations, all those women in any of those factions, an absolute positive. All 4 of them fit each one that we mentioned absolutely perfectly. I think it was a stroke of absolute genius to add Elektra Lopez to Legado del Fantasma. I was waiting for a female to join that group, and for what reason I don't know, she never once came into my mind.
She came into my mind. I just didn't know when it was going to happen.
I completely forgot about her. So when I saw it happen, I was like, all right, Fair enough. All right, that works.
Yeah.
That works. So it will now give BFAB something to do as well, hopefully in the ring, not just on the outside. Again, Trish Adora in Shane Taylor Promotions makes complete sense. She is the Pan-African World Diaspora Champion, representing Black women, representing Black people in general. Shane Taylor is, a guy that is unapologetically about his culture, about Black people. Shane Taylor Promotions is exactly that as well. That matchup just works completely. And again, Naomi with her husband, and then with, right now, possibly the most important faction, well, the only faction really in WWE, makes complete sense. What do you think of those combinations? Does it work for you? Are there any negatives to this type of thing?
I don't think there's any negatives. I mean, for me, and one thing, we've kind of bashed AEW a bit. One thing I'll shine on them since their inception, they've used factions very well. They've, it's even just to get more people on TV, exposure to more people. And we've seen slightly in the last year or so, NXT have kind of started taking that approach, put a lot of factions together just to, bundle them together, let them learn, or let other people in the faction learn from those that are more senior. And I think it can work so well, if used correctly, if the story's there. Obviously, BFAB is still very young in her career, and she can definitely learn a lot just being on screen, and kind of learning where cameras are and all of that kind of stuff before she, gets very comfortable within the ring. And Naomi is someone we want her. We know how good she is, but we just want her. These factions we're saying to join are very big on character. Right. And Naomi has got that in spades, sort of thing. So she can join, she can join a Hurt Business when they were about, or a Bloodline now, and still play a massive role, sort of thing. Even if it's away from, the titles and stuff, it's still good to have, I think, in depending on what the faction is. Bloodline, like Bloodline's all about family. Why wouldn't Naomi join? You see what I mean? Like, it just makes total sense.
Exactly.
Mr. Mike has put here in the comments, give me Naomi, Bianca, and Sasha in a faction.
Come on.
And you know what? When I saw this comment, I thought, ultimately, these three are it's almost like the same person in terms of character, what they portray, just at different stages of their career, with Naomi kind of being the one that came in first, Sasha, legit boss character, and Bianca, if you hark back to the days of her NXT character, it's almost like the same person.
It's like a Black female evolution.
Kind of, yeah.
Basically,
literally, it's true.
That
could be a lot of fun, yeah.
You know what? If you did that, those three, and then threw in, say, whether it be Jacqueline, Alicia Fox, or Jazz as that Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Woo! That would be nice. That would be real nice. But yeah, that's high hopes. That's high hopes.
Very high hopes.
That's smoking type of high hopes.
But definitely, I think I think even just within the women's division, why don't we see more just female factions, like all female factions? Like, I don't know why it's not a kind of go-to thing. We'll see a tag team. We might see a little. They often. Maybe the reason is because they often divulge into like little mean girls kind of stuff. True. I don't know, but if they gave it some real meaning, I really do think it could work. We need to start seeing more diverse women's stories in women's divisions across wrestling in general.
Definitely that. For me, it works. Again, it adds a lot of substance to whichever female it is as well. It's kind of like a bit of they can hang with the men. They're not playing the valet. They're not playing the manager.
Yeah.
They're part of, the group as well. So that in itself shows that you have, some trust in that female specifically, and their role, and just in more equality for women amongst the men, which makes sense to me. Someone I remember seeing. I think it's a clip from Jobbertier's podcast last show, and they mentioned, I can't remember what the actual conversation was, but the title of the clip was "Men Don't Respect Women in Wrestling." And I think in general it's a fact, but something like that, things like that make sense. You know, I don't know if anyone that follows the Indies, a year or so ago, you had Tasha Steeles was with Carmelo Hayes, formerly Christian Casanova, in their clique, and that was 3 men and her as the lone female. And that kind of catapulted her as well, and that's how, part of the reason how she ended up on Impact. So it works. It works. So I'm all for it. I'm hoping to see, it would be amazing for Shane Taylor to add Trish Adora. Hopefully we finally see something happening with Naomi. She's made her appearance on SmackDown last week Friday in some little segment with
Sonya
Deville. So it'll be interesting to see what comes from that. If it turns into her joining the bloodline, Roman Reigns jumping in there somehow, or maybe her husband jumping in and helping her out in some way, or having a word in her ear, all that kind of stuff. We'll see. Maybe Paul Heyman might say something. Who knows?
Shantice makes a very good point here. We have to then have more diverse women in creative. We've seen what happened last time.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is very true. Our time's running out, so let us move on to the next segment. The most important list in all of wrestling, of course, it is the Jet Power 10. I'll say this, and I'll be very open about this. I'll say this: the last month has, in general, been quite underwhelming for us. We've seen, we saw Bianca Belair lose her championship. We saw Omos lose his championship. Apollo Crews lost his championship. AEW, again, as we said before,
nothing. Yeah.
Some. I'll say this though. Some made it on the list. Some made it on the list this month. A couple of things have happened to garner a spot on the list. So let's get into it right away. As always, I'll run quickly through 10 to 6, and then we'll focus a little bit more on 5 to 1. Number 10 is Odyssey Jones. Odyssey Jones jumps in there. It's a strong pick because, he got to the final of the NXT Breakout Tournament, had to go through 2 other men. He was, the most inexperienced competitor in the tournament and still managed to get to the final. That shows great trust. We saw his ability. There's massive promise. I use the word massive not as a pun, but it still works. There's massive promise in him. So Jones is in at number 10. At number 9 is MSK. Not a lot of activity, but at the same time, they're still the NXT Tag Team Champions. Defended it against Imperium. In a good match, again, another clean win. They're getting these clean wins. They're kind of going under the radar, but we have to. I'm happy to make it, put it out there because, we're missing it. We're missing it.
The crowd seems to be slightly turning on these guys.
Probably
thinking they're just winning all the time. There's no real story. We don't like these guys.
Yeah, that's true, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's kind of going under the radar. Number 8 is Reggie. Still the 24/7 champion, very, very active. Still having matches. He's always on TV on Raw, evading the crazy duo that is R-Truth and Akira Tozawa. Very entertaining. It may feel repetitive, but at the same time, it's still entertaining every single week. So that's Reggie in at number 8. At number 7 is Big Swole. Big Swole is in at number 7. She's been very active, having an actual story on Dark. I believe the only actual story right now on Dark.
The only story ever told on Dark. Dark is just a match card.
But yeah, it is. But to see her and Diamante going at it, interactions, interrupting each other's matches, all that kind of stuff, it's something to watch and to look forward to with both ladies. At number 6, Red Velvet creeps in, mainly because of that one match with Britt Baker. She absolutely killed it in the match. We knew she can. We knew she could and would. You know, and you know, she's been going on a bit of a hot streak as well on Dark, and still kind of, you know, obviously on TV with you know, now with Jamie Hayter. I hope that kind of continues, regardless of it being not Britt Baker.
Yeah,
it's still something I just need, you know, in the whole argument of AW and Black Stars being used. It's not so much they have to be a champion or they have to be in the championship picture. It's give me some substance, long lasting substance, that makes me feel as though you care about what you want to do with these people in the near future, or in, you know, long term as well. So that is Red Velvet there. Number 5. Dante Martin, more or less for the exact same reason.
Yeah.
More or less for the exact same reason. Obviously, you know, great showing in that one match, and against the level of opponent being the AW World Champion and the AW Tag Team Champions, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. Of course, we then saw the following week, he was back on Dark.
Yeah.
This may be a silly question to ask. We may know the answer to this already, but do you see them, AW, going back to trying to push Dante Martin, or is this kind of like just a flash in the pan type of scenario?
I think they're just filling time until his brother gets back. Once Darius is back, you know, they'll pair them back up as a tag team and get some stuff. Just keeping him warm, keeping Dante in our minds, you know, as someone that's around. He's still very, very young. He's what, 19? Is he even 20 yet?
I don't even think so.
Yeah,
I believe he's still 19.
He's still super, super young. So yeah, let him keep honing his in-ring talents, his in-ring skills, getting those reps in. Everything else, you know, his packaging, his performance of his character, his promos, that will all come in good time, and you know, as he gets more experience and stuff. But you know, this guy, like you've put him, he's a 5th on the list. This is someone that had not wrestled on TV before, you know, AEW. Like, this guy was literally picked from obscurity to a TV show. So yeah, him and his brother, they deserve all the accolades.
Yeah, man, for sure. Moving to number 4. Number 4 is a little bit of a fall from grace, but she holds on to her spot in the top 5, because everything else that happened in August was still great. And that's Bianca Belair. Her fall from grace was not her fault. Her fall from grace was an absolute travesty of pro wrestling in general. So she holds on to that top 5 spot. But the reality is she's no longer the SmackDown Women's Champion. Are you still seething? And what is your reaction from what happened on Friday, with her having to go through 3 other women to get her rematch? What's that?
3 other women, 2 perennial losers, in Carmella and Zelina Vega. I didn't mind the Liv Morgan thing, and you know, she overcame Liv Morgan at the end. I think it's fine. Like, what she's showing is, okay, cool. You know, she came out, I lost my title, cool, I'm not gonna cry about it. You know, that's the game. Like, Becky, come out, let's run this back, sort of thing. The one thing I just think they need to tighten up with this, and I know she's a face, but Becky's in the ring giving it the large about how I became champion, and Bianca comes out, you know, hair swinging, skipping. Bro, relax.
Yeah.
You should actually be annoyed. Like, you're not salty. Oh yeah, well, I was cheated, this, that, and the other. She's not that kind of character. It's like, yeah, you won fair and square. The match has started, I got pinned, cool. But come out with a bit of pep in your step, like seriousness, you know. It's not every day swinging hair to then confront someone. It's like the minute you stepped into the ring, you've changed character because now you're kind of angry. You see what I mean? But you should have come out like that in the first place, a bit more serious, a bit more just slow walking and just thinking, okay, right, what am I gonna say to Becky? And I just think, like, I know WWE, you know, we're overthinking things that they don't even care about, sort of thing. But ultimately, is that these are just the little things with Bianca's character, which, you know, we saw the little things in the likes of Austin, which just made him a god at the end of the day. So these are little things they can tweak to just make her more of a human rather than a machine. Like, oh, I must do my entrance and then let me get into the ring and then I'll be angry. Like, add a bit more continuity to it all. But other than that, I think even in defeat this past week, she's done a great job, and they're already selling tickets and telling people it's Becky versus Bianca Belair at Extreme Rules. So
I'm very intrigued and hoping that there's a stipulation in their match, some kind of extreme stipulation in their match. I'm hoping. I don't know what that's going to be or what it should be. Maybe a last woman standing.
I was about to say something like that.
Maybe
an
3 out of 4
or something.
Yeah,
something that Becky will make sense in the story, that Becky can't just win it like that.
Right.
Like
just to prove herself, kind of.
Yes. Yeah.
That would be amazing. Moving on to number 3. Number 3 is Trish Adora. And the biggest reason why I put Trish Adora up there is mainly to do with the fact that the Pan African World Diaspora Championship has now been recognized by PWI. Of course, that's a big thing. And she is now the most important Black female wrestler in pro wrestling because of that. With Bianca Belair not being the SmackDown Women's Champion, no one else, female I can think of, top of my head, would be a more important champion to us as the culture, basically. And of course, she's doing well. She just, as I said earlier today, that she advanced to the semi-final of the Ring of Honor Women's Championship tournament as well. So, Trish Adora is in at number 3. Do you think she can win that tournament?
Yes. If they really want to do something different and take a different approach on what are these kind of traditional tournaments, then yes, definitely. However, just the amount of talent that's available out now. I mean, those that are in the tournament as well.
It's true.
Obviously, they need to think of once this person wins the tournament, what's the next feud is going to be and stuff like that. And of course, Ring of Honor, they're not the biggest promotion. They need to sell tickets, this, that, and the other. That's where I think she would fall down, obviously, just because she's not as popular as some possible options out there. If someone told you that the Ring of Honor champion is now going to enter a program with ex-WWE star Ruby Soho or ex-WWE star Mercedes Martinez, all of a sudden it sounds a bit more appealing, doesn't it? So
very true. Very true. Moving to number 2. Number 2 is Carmelo Hayes. A massive jump from never being on the list to now being at number 2. Of course, we know exactly why. He is now the NXT Breakout Tournament champion and has the opportunity to face any NXT champion. That puts him in such a prime position. We kind of mentioned, obviously, he won that the tournament last week, so we kind of had a bit of a discussion as to, what does he do next? What's his best option? Have we changed our mind in any way? Like, what's his best option? Is it the Cruiserweight Championship? Is it the North American Championship? Is it the NXT Championship? Work it out.
So clearly, when I done my list, I forgot that Carmelo Hayes is Black because I left him off my list completely. But thank God for yourself, because he does deserve to be as high as he is. Really good ending. We were deliberating over, is it going to be Odyssey Jones? Does Carmelo Hayes need to win this tournament? Because we already know he's special. But they did the right thing. The guy that's better won the tournament. And just looking at the landscape of it right now of NXT, and again, we don't know this new, the new direction it's going to take. I saw some guys in the comments talking about that logo.
Nickelodeon.
Yeah. So I think what's best. Either way, I don't think he's going to win any title he goes for. But I think, you know, like we said, Kushida, he's had a Mon match against Kushida. They can run that back and have a bit of a story now because they've got previous. I think him and Swerve would completely set the place on fire if they did a match.
Absolutely.
I think that would be kind of a good place to go for. But at the same time, if you win an opportunity like this, very much like ACH did, or what's his name, Jordan Miles when he was in NXT.
Jordan Miles, yep.
You go after the guy at the top. You go after the NXT championship. So, if he's feeling froggy and wants to keep jumping, he's jumped onto the Jet Power 10 list. If he wants to jump all the way to Samoa Joe with the NXT championship, then that's what he should go for. You have to go for the head of the snake. So
that would be interesting.
For that one.
I mean, just to put it in, just to kind of look at it from my side of things, I would say out of the three, the most realistic one he would win if he went for it would be the Cruiserweight. I think it would work because Shida's not necessarily doing anything. We're kind of missing what he's doing. He has the whole thing with Roderick Strong going on, but maybe it would be time for him to lose it, or it wouldn't be a bad thing if he lost it. Swerve, I doubt he would win.
Yeah.
I doubt Carmelo Hayes would beat Swerve for the NXT North American Championship. But again, as you said, the match would be absolutely phenomenal. The feud, the story could be great as well. With the NXT Championship, I think that's way too far out of his reach.
But it was out of ACH's reach as well. Like, he was never going to beat Adam Cole.
No, not at all. But at the same time, the other thing that then makes it even harder for Carmelo Hayes is now, obviously we saw what happened last week on NXT. You had Pete Dunne, Tommaso Ciampa, LA Knight, Kyle O'Reilly, all kind of, putting themselves out there as, I'm the next in line. Yeah. So then for Carmelo Hayes to come in, over like,
well, he does have the contract.
You might have the contract, mate, but go sit down. Go sit down. So I would say it has to be the Cruiserweight, if I'm honest. I just feel it's a very good way, not just to throw him right at the top. It's a great way to build him at the same time while giving him enough to say, all right, he's good enough to be a champion. So for me, I think
potentially cap his career though. Does that put
Nah. I think it helps to build him. He still starts from somewhere, and he's not necessarily gone in. He's won the tournament, so he's got a contract now. Whereas if he didn't have that, he'd have to fight his way through other cruiserweights to then get to, which wouldn't be a bad thing, but it's a push in the right direction. It gives a reason why he won the tournament. Him then winning that cruiserweight championship, then has great runs with it and blah blah, and then moves on to bigger things afterwards. I don't think it's a cap at all. At number one, I'm just going to go through this one quickly because this guy cannot be knocked off this number one spot anytime soon. It is Bobby Lashley at number one, of course, the almighty, the main man. Listen, the king of WWE right now defeated Goldberg in a good way. As much as MVP got involved, Lashley still had to put the work in and did what he did. Not a lot of activity in between his pay-per-view matches, but at the same time, Lashley's still up there. I can't see anyone beating him anytime soon. And we were going to discuss, who's Lashley's next opponent could possibly be. Run out of time for that, but I guess we can mention a couple of them. Who do you think would be a good and realistic next opponent?
I mean, they're pushing Damian Priest like it's gonna be him. Goldberg said that on this week on Raw that he doesn't care about the championship. He's coming after Lashley's soul, which could be a good thing in a way, because if Goldberg then goes on to beat Lashley at Saudi Arabia, if it's not for the championship, then cool, get your win and go about your business.
Again.
Doesn't do anything for Lashley, but at least he hasn't dropped the championship to Goldberg. So yeah, and then they need to build someone. It's looking like Damian Priest, but that means Damian Priest will most likely have to drop his US title before moving on up. So we'll see.
Very interesting. We could discuss it more, but we've run out of time. So folks, for everyone that is here, thank you for joining us live on WrstlXtra, of course, on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel, and everyone that is listening on AffinityExtra.com. Of course, you can follow us on Instagram and on Twitter. Yes, I'm back. Yes. I've been going crazy. So you can follow me, Black Wrestling A, on Twitter, Black Wrestling Alliance, of course, on Instagram, and you can follow this guy on WrestleManiac.uk on Instagram and WrestleManiac UK on Twitter. Folks, that is the end of our show. We have got to go. Peace.
See you in the next one.